Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Library Committee meeting on February 19th, 2026. Just a note, it is currently both Ramadan and Lent, and as such, I would like just to give a reminder that there is a multi-faith space room, which is room 221, that provides a space for prayer, reflection, and access to a wudu room, and please ask security staff for access to this space if you require it. I will now call on our committee clerk, Julie Hale, to do the roll call.
Thank you, Chair. Regional Chair Redmond?
Present.
Member Grant?
Present.
Member Griffiths? Councillor Foxton? Member Martin?
Present.
Councillor Novak? Present. Chair Salonen?
Present.
Councillor Shantz?
Present.
And we have regrets from Member Palmer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Shawanoe peoples. We recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous people on the land, and we honor their historic and ongoing contributions to our community. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we do have a motion to go into closed, and this is in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act for the purpose of considering the following subject matter, and that's to receive advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose related to identifiable individuals in an employee job shared audit. May I have a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Nowak, seconded by Councillor Shantz. All those in favor? And that carries. And we will reconvene once we're done with that and open. I would be looking for a motion to reconvene an open session, please. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Shantz. All those in favor? That carries. And we will jump into our reports. Our first one is on the Bloomingdale branch relocation opportunity, and I'll call on Christina McLaren, our Manager of Library Services, to introduce this report and presentation.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. There's a presentation that goes with this as well.
They're just pulling it up now.
Okay. So the Bloomingdale branch relocation opportunity. This aligns with the library service delivery plan, the welcoming spaces section, which includes exploring opportunities for branch enhancement, expansions, or relocations to better serve community needs. Woolwich Township and library staff revisited a discussion to relocate the Bloomingdale branch to the Bloomingdale Community Center. And you can see on this slide a couple of photos. So the existing branch is within the Bloomingdale United Church on the left-hand side, and the new proposed location is at the Bloomingdale Community Center, which is on the right-hand side. Next slide. For context, the Bloomingdale branch, where we are right now, is about 400 square feet. It's within the Bloomingdale United Church, as I mentioned. Space is limited. The building is not fully accessible. There is a ramp, but it is available with staff assistance. There's no push-button doors in the building. The water in the building is not potable, so that limits our ability to deliver certain programs and services. And the next slide shows a floor plan view of the existing branch. Are we back one slide? I'll just point out on the floor plan view. Yep, that one. The bottom left-hand corner is the entrance into the branch. You have to go up a couple of steps to get into the building, and then up about 3 or 4 more steps to get into the library space. And then the space itself has shelving around the perimeter and a freestanding shelving unit kind of in the center at the back by the exit door. Next slide, please. The Bloomingdale Community Center is where we are proposed to move the branch. This is roughly 800 square feet, plus there's an entry area and some storage space that we could potentially renovate a little further down the line. There would be added space for browsing collections, delivering programming, and having social interactions with our patrons. It is an accessible building with minimal upgrades needed. The washroom does not have a push-button door, and there may be some other washroom upgrades that could be applied as well, which we could potentially roll into our AODA work. The water in the building is potable, so we could offer some dynamic food-related programming. And the location is adjacent to the park and outdoor sports courts, which would attract families and residents as a one-stop recreation visit. The next slide shows a not-to-scale rough sketch of what the Bloomingdale Community Center area looks like. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, it says accessible door. That's the accessible main entrance. Then there's the main area, which would be the main space for the library. There is a washroom that's just off of the main space, kind of top center. And then there's a kitchen area, which would be a staff-only section, or it could be used for dynamic programming. Next slide, thank you. So the existing arrangement with the church, where we are now, Woolwich Township is the tenant, the church is the landlord, and then the library covers rental costs from our operations budget. Relocating to township-owned space would remove the need for a third-party lease agreement. Rental costs would then become operational costs of the building. So we'd pay for heat, hydro, maintenance, anything like that. At this point, the lease with the church has been renewed through to the end of June of this year with the option to extend month by month. Next slide, please. At minimum, space would require paint, flooring, that would be in the main space, and shelving. We may also need some infrastructure costs for internet and a few more electrical outlets as well. But future upgrades could include AODA washroom upgrades and possibly a reconfiguration of the entry and storage areas. Reallocation of the 2026 capital budget lines would support initial renovation and new furnishing costs up to $50,000. Next slide, please. We are moving forward with some public engagement in collaboration with the township. So we'll engage the community to gather input on desired services, features, and amenities in the new library space. And the photos on the slide just show some possibilities. So flexible shelving and displays, those that may be on wheels that make the space a little bit more flexible for us. Perhaps some lounge seating for people to gather, or study tables, and a dedicated area for children and youth. Any questions?
Thank you. We'll go over to Councillor Foxton first, please.
I like this. I think it's a great idea. I like the layout and the plans you have. So was this in the process for quite a while? Because this is the first time I've heard of this, or am I wrong?
So from what I understand, there was a discussion way back when. I think this suggestion was that we offer a pop-up space in the community center, and that wasn't really an option at the time. So the discussion was put on hold.
Okay, so we haven't brought any new discussion until now. I mean, even during the budget process, shouldn't we have at least discussed this, or did it just come out of nowhere all of a sudden?
So this just came up after the budget had already been presented.
I wish everything happened that fast. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Shantz.
Thank you. Thanks for the report. This is something we talked about a number of years ago at the township level. We weren't quite ready to give up the the community space at that time. But we did look at whether we could, provide some space for a pop-up, as Christina said. So I think this is a really good option. I guess when I look at it going through my mind, and I don't know if this is possible, if our recreation staff would even care, but if there's a way that, the book, the collection piece could be sort of locked, separate. If the community wanted to use the kitchen and have some kind of a small gathering, that the library piece could be secured. And that's just something for discussion when you're finalizing the plans. As I said, I haven't talked to our recreation staff or anyone about it. It's just what came to my mind.
Member Grant.
Thank you. I do like that it's moving to a secular space. I am curious, what was the community center being used for up until now, I guess?
Yeah, I did ask staff that, and primarily renters were people coming from the city who just wanted to use the recreation space, and so there was very little actually Bloomingdale centric sort of programming happening there. They used to have a strawberry social and some of those things, but their community group has sort of dwindled over the years. So my understanding, it's been primarily outside users.
Member Griffiths.
I understand that the washroom in this particular location is accessible, sized or whatever. I'm curious why there wasn't a push-button door amenity involved with that rather than it being an afterthought now to add it to this particular proposal. I would have thought, okay, maybe just an observation there. Another thing was that you're talking about reallocating $50,000 from other items that were budgeted. I wonder, is there a way that, like, I think this is a great proposal, is there a way to ensure that whatever was originally intended to be covered by these three amounts, as I understand it, that compose the 50,000, that the necessary work will be done as it originally was envisioned? Am I making any sense? I'm sorry.
Yes, that does make sense. I'm just looking to who on staff. I think Christina will answer that.
And I'm not sure that I can really answer that. I might call on finance to help, but the branch retrofits and the upgrade lighting costs were carry forward amounts. And the microfiche reader amount that we would apply to this was unspent from the previous year. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Wayne.
I think Commissioner Regier has something to add.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair Solomon, there is an opportunity to revisit the budget in the fall of this year, so we can recalibrate the whole thing. There is funding in the capital reserve for this project. And then I think what we can do is bring forward a plan in the fall that would rebalance all of the priorities for the library against this opportunistic shift in priorities. So I think there's an opportunity for that conversation in the fall that will allow us to adjust appropriately, based on the committee and council's priorities.
There was a small chart included in the reading material on this item, and it had the rent for Bloomingdale at $13,500, and then I guess Breslau is shown. I guess that was just as an example of the variance between locations and the potential savings, which I assume could then be applied towards other items. But we do not have an actual rent figure for the Bloomingdale Community Center at this point.
Yeah, through you, Chair Solomon, you're absolutely correct that there will be a savings, and it's not an insignificant savings here, and that's exactly the kind of work that we can bring forward in the 2027 budget to recalibrate. Rents that we've been paying up to this point can be reallocated to the capital budget to balance, and I think my back of the envelope calculation was that this is a break-even proposition in about 4 years. So, yeah, it's a good use of community space, and it's a much better service to the community as a whole.
Thank you very much.
We'll go over to Member Martin.
I just wanted to state the obvious. It's a tremendous improvement to what we had before. So appreciate you bringing it forward, and exciting. Looking forward to it.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So one of the funding budgets was the microfiche. Did we ever get the one for North Dumfries?
Through the chair, yes, we did.
Then I'm happy. Thank you.
And we have Chair Redmond.
I'm just very supportive of these improvements. I think our users and our residents are really looking for us to continue to update. I know, Councillor Salonen, it's very important to you about the AODA upgrades and compliance, so really commend staff for doing this. And just to remind everybody that this is an up to 50,000, so when the report comes back in the fall, they will have sharpened their pencils and probably be a little bit more exact on what the exact costing and how that looks on a budget. But really good questions, and I'm very happy to support this.
Member Grant?
I'm not sure if it was already mentioned, but what's the timeline potentially for this project?
So For now, I guess we wanted to bring this report forward. It's hard when you're behind me. I can't face you. We wanted to bring this report forward so that you know about it and so that we know that we have a budget to work within. For the next month, we'll be doing public consultation. We'll be holding a couple of open houses in the community center to get some feedback from the public. And I have reached out to some vendors on shelving costs, looking into costs for carpeting and painting the facility. And the optimistic plan is that we would be able to move before the end of June. If that doesn't happen, we have the option to lease the existing space on a monthly basis until the end of the year. So final timeline would be end of the year.
Okay. I did have a few questions. On a whole, I think it's a really great opportunity. I am curious, the discussions just with the church. Again, I appreciate cost savings, but I also recognize for a parish like $13,000 annually isn't something to turn their nose up at. So I'm just curious with those conversations, as well as, is it monthly? I got a bit confused by you saying that we could rent it up to the end of the year. So just curious on the contract obligations as well.
Yes, so our lease agreement, it's not even our lease agreement, sorry, it's the township's lease agreement with the church, and that is solid up until the end of June. So that's a 6-month lease for agreement for this year. After the end of June, if we are not ready to move out of the space, we would negotiate a month-by-month lease agreement. Maybe closer to the end of June, we will have an idea of how long it will take for us to fully complete the community center space and move to it. So we'd be able to negotiate if we need more than a month. We'd be able to negotiate that, or the township could.
Okay, very good. And then I have a technical question. Can we update the years in the motion and in the report? Because right now we're into, I don't even know what year that would be. There's an extra 0 in all of them. So I think we're adding about 1,000 years onto this project with the current numbers. It's in both the motion and in the actual report. So if that can just be reflected both in the minutes and updated before we vote on the motion. And with that, I don't see any other questions or comments, so I'd be looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Nowak. Can we get clarification? I maybe misinterpreted them as years, but are they project numbers?
Through the chair, yeah. Yes, those would be project numbers.
Okay, my apologies for reading it as years. Yeah, that just inconveniently fell upon. Okay, my apologies for misreading that. That has been corrected, and it's been moved and seconded, so all those in favor. And that carries. All right. We will move on to our next report, and this is new library service hours. And I will again turn it over to Christina McLaren to introduce.
I'll just wait for the presentation to be pulled up. Okay. New library service hours. So the review of branch open hours ties in with the library service delivery plan, the service excellence area of focus. So we commit to offering a balance of open hours across various times of day to appeal to people of many demographics, offering consistent hours across days of the week, so ease of access and staff coverage, and regular review and or adjustment of hours to align with community needs. Next slide, please. So working our way back up to pre-pandemic cumulative hours across all of our branches. I've got a little chart here just to show that in October 2019, before the pandemic, we had 285 hours per week of open time across all our branches. As of this month, we have 266 hours of open time per week. And the proposal for additional hours as of July 2026 would take us up to 284 hours of open time per week. Additional open hours are already built into the staffing budget, so there's no impact to the budget. These are administrative hours that were increased at the branches during the pandemic to allow for added health and safety protocols during that time. Those health and safety protocols are no longer in place, so we're looking to shift that time to open hours. The proposed hours will impact Ayr, Baden, Linwood, and St. Jacobs, and there are no recommendations to decrease open hours. Next slide, please. The new hours provide more consistent open times and extended hours at Ayr and Baden. So looking at the chart on the screen, the Thursdays in Ayr would be extended. I believe they're open 10 to 4 now, so they would be open 10 to 8. And in Baden on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I believe they open 1 to 8 p.m. on those days, and we're proposing that they open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. those days. New hours in Linwood and St. Jacobs address the frustration that patrons have around weekend closures. So right now those two branches are not open on Saturdays, which means 2 p.m. on Thursday. From then until 3 or 4 p.m. on Tuesday, people have to wait to pick up their holds if they've been given a notice that they have holds available. Next slide. And that's my presentation, so any questions I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Do we have questions? Councillor Schatz?
Thank you. Thanks for this and bringing the hours back up to pre-pandemic. We're finally sort of getting over all of that. Just wondering, are there any branches that are closed now on Saturday?
St. Clement's is closed on Saturdays.
Thanks.
Member Griffiths?
I was just interested, given the presentation we just had on the changeover in Bloomingdale, whether there would be consideration to changing the hours there, adding a bit more, because I noticed Thursday, Friday, there's nothing, if I understand the current hours correctly, and I wonder if consideration can or will be given to those hours, because moving to a community center, I assume, may generate greater degree of public access, and but if it's closed for major periods, it may be discouraging to the situation. Thank you.
So through the chair, while we're planning this move to Bloomingdale, we may find that there is a need for increased hours after we move to the new location. I'd like to have some time to plan for that and not do it at the same time that we're planning a move and a relocation. I will say that the overall hours in 2019 versus today, that is also across more branches. So we added a branch in Breslau in 2024. So while we are up to, as of July 2026, if you approve these proposed hours, we would be back up to the same number of cumulative hours across the branches. We do have an extra branch. So there may be a little bit of room to add a few hours there as well, and we could focus them on Bloomingdale at that point.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. I did have one question, and I tried to find it earlier this week and I couldn't. I know last year we had talked about Wellesley looking to increase their hours on the Friday. Has that been resolved to what they were looking for? Because I obviously, yes? Okay, perfect. All right, I just couldn't find it back in any of our reports, but I knew we had talked about it. Okay, with that, I don't see any other questions. This report is just for information, so no need for voting on that. We do have the committee tracking list. Were there any items that anyone wanted to pull from that or ask questions on? Councillor Foxton?
All right, just the completed ones, maybe we can delete them off now so that it's not so many pages. I'm glad to see, actually, it's a nice way of seeing things that have been accomplished. I do have there's one where they're asking the libraries to be able to put in sports equipment and stuff for people to take out. Investigate the expansion of collections of items available for borrowing at the regional library locations, such as sports equipment and tools. I'm not sure I agree that that's a good idea. But I'll leave that with staff to look into. I'm not sure I want to be a be-all and rent-all type place. Thank you.
So I can speak to that because I was the one who'd asked for that. I'd asked for it. We have some residents who now live in Wilmot but used to live in, I believe it was St. Mary's. And at their library, you can rent kayaks to go out. So they had asked for this service. So all that I had asked for staff and what this ask on the committee tracking wasn't that we actually go down that route, but just understand the feasibility / consideration for that as a potential at some of our locations. Member Grant.
The Kitchener Public Library allows people to take out roller skates and ice skates, and apparently it's wildly popular.
That is a very cool service I was unaware of. So
I just
yes,
worry
Councillor
about the space in our libraries because we really didn't build them to handle a lot of other equipment. Thank you.
Very good. Yes, Chair Redmond.
If I can just add on to that information, it's called the Library of Things, and it's hugely popular. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the library, and it doesn't necessarily have to be operated by library staff. But it is called the Library of Things, and it's if you need a chainsaw once every 6 months, would you buy one or go rent one? It's seen as a very eco-friendly way to give people the tools that they need when they need them, and roller skates too.
Very good. But again, that will be coming back once staff bring back a report. So we can further discuss if it's something that's feasible for an opportunity for us. Anything else on?
Do we want to drop off the ones that we've already taken care of?
Sorry?
Do we want to drop off the ones that we've already taken care of on the report?
Yes, can staff just take that as direction? Yes, that will be reflected in our next one. Seeing no other comments or questions, I just want to note that our next meeting is April the 16th, which is a Thursday again, and will be held at 9:30 a.m. Is there any other business that members wanted to bring up? Okay, seeing none, I would look for adjournment. If I could have a mover, please. Moved by Chair Redmond, seconded by Councillor Shantz. All those in favor? That carries unanimously. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.